We're back here with Boundaries and Brotherhood with my friend Carrie Pullaro and with Worthy as AF. Today's topic that we wanted to share, because we said it last week, was competing with your partner in the power struggle. How deep is that? I just want to say, I just wanted to welcome Carrie back again. And it's going to be an ongoing thing because a lot of the times you need this point of view. And I want to say, a lot of the times it takes her point of view to kind of reel me in also. All right, Carrie, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself again. EP2, take it away.
Thanks, Gordon. I'm Carrie Pullaro, and I am a relationship coach. I help independent women realize that they are the prize and then just learn to attract a man that they're not competing with.
Yep.
Perfect for the topic
Yep.
today. Oh my God. And I wanted to ask you too, because I think it's when everybody gets into a relationship in the beginning, there's always this power struggle in the beginning. How is that with you and your wife?
Well, she's also a strong-headed woman. She's Scorpio. She's left her moments, building herself back up. But at the same time, when you start realizing that it's not a power struggle, it's not a competition, it's not anything else. Now, I can see a lot of times with the YouTube, with the simping, the feminism, and all this stuff, because, women want to do it on their own. I get all of that. But there's a time and a place when you have to do everything for your relationship as a family, as a togetherness, where it's like, sometimes I have to put away my pride at the same time, because it's not about me being always right. It's all about being able to say, I'm sorry. It's being able to say, okay, you take the lead this time. It's being able to know your strengths, know your weaknesses, where I can pick up the slack for my other half.
Yeah.
The relationship, the marriage, the growth of everything has to be for something that's in the future. And if I'm shooting myself in the foot in the beginning, how is that going to affect what we do in the future, especially if we're trying to push each other up instead of trying to pull each other down? That was pretty good, though. What's your
God.
take on it?
I realized too that I had a pattern in my relationships where there was this proving energy of, I got to let you know that I'm good enough. And
Mhm.
oh man, we were talking about this in Worthy as AF last night.
This is part of the realist
Oh,
of
okay.
it. I
Okay.
like
Okay.
it.
About this and Worthy as fuck last night that I was like, man, I remember when I was a kid and there's a lot of things that I saw that made me recognize, or they allowed me to create a story, really, I should say,
Okay.
is that women had to prove themselves or they would be abandoned in the relationship. Because my dad and my parents, women had to prove themselves worthy and good enough all the time, or the man would leave. They would abandon the relationship. That is right,
Correct.
but that's exactly how I process the information.
That's really interesting, because when you think about the olden type models of how it's like, okay, that happened. What are you seeing in the marketplace as far as your clients or people that you're working with competing with their other half, and how is that affecting their relationships or their future, their family, their kids, their business? You mean, how is that affecting, especially if what you said was really important, proving themselves? I got to write this
Proving,
down.
and I think a lot of times what I'm seeing is there is this for me,
Mhm.
I didn't when I realized that my parents were getting a divorce, I created a blueprint in my body, right? That love was unstable, men leave, communication is conflict. If I don't perform or prove, I'm not good enough and I will be abandoned. My mom would pack our shit.
Yep.
She would get upset with my dad. She'd pack our shit in a suitcase and we would go to a hotel for the night. She was trying to get his attention. Instead, it was what can I do to create such shock in him that he'll question, do I really want to leave? That
Right.
is what I learned communication was.
Now, let me ask you this. I come from a divorced family also too. And part of that trauma is, I guess, when I was 4 years old, because that's why I treat my boys the same way they get now. Because I have other two baby mamas with two different daughters. My two kids now get the best of me from all the lessons I've learned, right?
Yep.
You could call me, when I came out of prison, right, I had $80,000 in child support and restitution. So I had to pay that off before I can even move on. And this is where, when life is so short, where it's like, if you're not communicating or you're not expressing yourself, and know what, this is what part of my topic is with when you are gotta have boundaries for yourself and what you're gonna do, because it's gonna portray on what you've seen. And your mom probably didn't have the means, the communication, because that's what all they knew. Because that's part of your trauma that's going on. Because, let's face it,
Absolutely.
when you have trauma or things that you've seen before, because your belief system was this is all you knew from what you've seen, it stays in you. How did that
Yep.
affect your relationships besides meeting your guy now?
That is going deep. And so I approached every relationship as it was like a job interview, right? But
Oh,
I was interviewing every day. So I felt like I had to show up. And it was like, because I used to work at a strip club, I
mhm.
always say, if I felt like I was on stage all the fucking time. That's how I was in my relationship. Like, I felt like I had to prove something.
Right.
I needed to show you that I didn't need you. Not from not from a malicious place,
Mhm.
but from a place that
Mm.
I'll be okay. But I didn't feel that way inside.
Of
It was
course.
like a bunch of bullshit.
Of course. That's what you told yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you're in, but you was also that childhood trauma stemmed from that. And you built it up
Mhm.
because you was in the industry because you wasn't going to get hurt again and you didn't know how to kind of like open up. Because if you were on
Mhm.
a, I want to know what was the empathetic moment that made you do the aha moment where it's like, holy shit, I've been doing this all wrong, right? Because this might help your viewers too.
Yeah, I remember one day well, and part of my story is addiction.
Hmm.
When I finally found recovery and I started doing some work on myself, I had blown up. I was in this relationship. I had gone through 2 divorces. I was blowing up. I was in this 6-year relationship, and it was coming to an end.
Okay.
And I remember thinking to myself, like and it just hit me out of nowhere, like, "You're the common denominator. What does every one of these relationships have? Oh my god, you were fucking in them. Like, it was you." And it would just allow me to take this, responsibility of, "Oh, wow, if, like, I'm affecting these relationships by the way I'm showing up, like, how do I get to show up differently?
Yeah,
What healing do I get to do?"
of
Well,
course.
and then and I'm behaving I have certain behavior patterns and, of course, lack of trust. All these wounds are coming out and being projected on these poor people that didn't even know what they signed up for. You
Correct.
know what I mean?
Correct. But then that's not one of those things. Okay, last week we talked about women's ego for a little while, right? You built up that
Yep.
ego. You in the industry. You on dope, right? You're doing
Yeah.
everything else that
Yeah.
you're doing. You're addicted to somehow. You're trying to fill a void, but you haven't fixed yourself in that situation. But
Mhm.
this one makes the process of what we're doing because you know my past too. Like this is how me and your other mentor, me and him been friends for so many years, but we went down that path. In fact, I seen him go in,
Mhm.
back out a couple times. But at the same time, the process that we both took, the journey made us stronger. The
Mhm.
realization point is where you get to have a relationship now with your guy, which is so cool to watch because when I look at people's eyes, when I do the kids program, I mess around with all these inmates, convicts, drug dealers, I do all different kinds and I can see it in their eyes when they've changed. It's the
Mhm.
realization that they're not faking it. Let me ask you this. When you talk to the women now and you give them your story, what is the empathetic moment? Because you can tell your story to some of the women you coach. When they say, like,
Mhm.
wow, I didn't have it that bad. When do you empathize with them because of the situation where it's like you're not proving yourself? How do you correct that in them?
I like to look back at the father wound. Like, that's the big
Yeah, that.
yeah, to go back and look at that because that sets up how I show up for every male relationship following, right? And so if I didn't have a good relationship with my dad, if I always was afraid he was going to leave
Yeah,
or I didn't feel like I measured up, like I've told you the last
yeah,
time we talked about
worthy.
my dad being
Yeah,
critical, I'm gonna think every single man is like that.
correct.
And so if I know every single man is like that, how can I set myself up for success so that I can be accepted and loved in this relationship?
That's deep because that's so much
Whew.
inner work. So, how do you forgive yourself and your guy?
Mm, man, it's been just like going back and doing the work over and over. And then I remember, so, and this is a constant work, right? Because things
Absolutely.
always come up. And when I got in relationship with Abel, like 3 years ago,
Mhm.
I still had some stuff there for my dad. And he had said to me, I feel that you're still carrying a few things around with your dad. And until like you get to address this, because if you don't, this relationship is not going to work. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'd never had anyone say that to me. And thought I had fucking healed. I've been doing this work for like 9 years. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking that I'm okay. It then realizing that like different people are gonna bring out different triggers or different things, and it's all connected. The work's never done. Um, and so really allowing myself that grace of,
Beautiful word,
okay,
grace.
yeah, you get to have grace because this is your journey, your process. You're never going to arrive. And then like making amends with people. Like I actually got to have a conversation with my dad
Yeah,
about how I showed up,
that was huge. I
you
remember you
know?
telling me about that. Man, Abel is the strong, high value man that with it, I praise him for what he has become himself to be able to not just help you, my friend. You hit it on the head. Some people will pull the stuff out of you. And what you have for this man, for Abel, you have so much respect for him by telling you the truth and bringing the best out of you.
Yeah.
What kind of qualities? Everything is spot on. If you was to tell a man, because it's not your audience, my audience, this, what would you tell these gentlemen to be able to talk to, just have a communication? Because you found your guy in Abel. He has boundaries. He's of high value. He can tell you what it is. He communicates and he pulls the best out of you. You know, it takes self-esteem. It takes confidence. You cannot be just a weenie, right? Because if you're being a weenie to other women, they're going to run all over you because they don't respect you, right?
Yes.
Right. Give me an example. You can tell these men what to do so that they can become this confident person, because I want men to be confident and I could simp and run over. It's just so strange to me. But I'm from a different time and I also different. Talk to me about
Yeah.
that. You mean, because what do you see in Abel that men can relate to?
Well, for one, it was very important to me to be in relationship with a man that had a good relationship with his mother.
Oh,
That was very important to me. That was one of the very first things I looked for. Um, and he has a good relationship with his mother. He's healed a lot of it. And the reason that was so important is because my prior relationship, I was with someone who had so much contempt and disdain for his mother
mm,
that it began like, you don't realize it. Oh,
yeah.
and as the relationship grew, I saw how he started to project that onto me. And I
Wow.
was, "Oh, yeah, I
Wow.
don't like, this isn't okay."
Wow.
And then trying to have a conversation with someone who isn't open isn't going to work, right? Because it's not for me to tell him he needs to do his work. That's all his responsibility. But the fact that, you know, I tried to have a conversation and then I realized I was like, "Oh, this is his journey and his realization, and this has nothing to do with me. I'm not gonna take it personal. If he's willing to do the work, then I'm not willing to be in the relationship."
Smart. But it took you to a certain point to get to that point, because if not, you'd be stuck in it, right? Because
Oh, yeah, it was
yeah,
for a hot minute.
but you realize certain things, because now this is why her program, Worthy as F, makes it easier, because she's been through this stuff. If you don't have a good relationship with your mom, I mean, me and
Mhm.
my mom's relationship is okay. We communicate. She helps out. She's made so many different mistakes. I can't fault her for it. But it's like I've
Right.
moved on from a certain things because she's always told me certain things, which is cool. Now, let me ask you this: like with Andrea's mom, love her to death. I mean, like, she's strong base, religion base, very high value, very forgiving. This and that, because she grew up in a different time, right?
Yeah.
Or she's parented in a different time. But now, when you have that open relationship, let me ask you this: did you crave that family because you missed it when you were young and you attach yourself to that.
So this is the interesting part. I created a persona that actually felt safe being distant. That's what I knew.
Oh, that is deep.
So that was the identity that I had
Yes.
created. And that was why also I felt this need to prove to keep you there because there was no emotional connection. You know what I mean? There's no intimacy there. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, let me show you all the things that I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that's it. It has no real deep meaning connection to that. That's where it's like
Right.
once you have that deep emotional connection, you have all that other stuff that comes along with it. Everything works out fine. I mean, it's communication, it's respect, it's having boundaries, all this other stuff that you need because women, to me, whether they don't want to tell it right, they want to be treated well, they want to be led, they want to be protected on certain things. Help me out if I'm missing anything. But they're looking for that with certain men. The men today are a different breed. I don't know if it's social media. I don't know if it's because it's what they've been told or what they've been shown. What is your take on that? Is that true or not?
I really think masculinity today is so different than it was when I was younger.
Absolutely.
I think that men stepping into that healthy masculine is what's different. But I also think that it's impacted by the fact that you have so many moms, so many women at home, single moms without fathers present that are trying to raise a son and teach them how to be a man. And that's not her job.
You hit something like explain the masculinity energy and the differences from your point of view.
Masculinity
Yeah.
is like this strength to be able to hold. It's like a penetrating energy, right? Like
Hey,
they get shit done, like a controller energy, not controlling, but
controller.
controller. Like you give me a problem, I'm gonna find a fucking solution.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna plan, I'm gonna lead, I'm gonna provide, I'm gonna do all of these things. When I came into when I would tell you like about competing with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
when I first got in a relationship with Abel, I would try to plan things and do things and he would be like, "The hell is wrong with this girl?" Like I'd be like, "Did you handle this?" Like, I was coming across as the mothering energy rather
Oh,
than a partner.
that makes you see how much we're gonna learn from each other by doing this? It makes so much sense in that sense because you're so controlling because that was your behavior for so long. Doing this, do,
Yeah.
do, 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 do. And he's looking like, whoa, 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 Carrie, what the freak is going on here? And he's like, is that a quality that's been portrayed, or is that a quality that you earned?
I think it's conditioning. It was a
Conditioning.
conditioning that I had
True.
taken on that I had to be this person. And then I realized that I'm like, "Oh, wow, he's capable."
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
It's almost like it's like this belief that shit won't get done unless I do it myself.
Controlling.
Shit won't get done. Like
Yeah.
I was mega controlling. And then I realized quickly that like this isn't gonna work. We had many conversations where he's like, "Okay, yeah, this isn't the type of relationship that I want to be in, that I want to create." And so
Mm.
if you're committed to showing up this way, then we aren't going to work in relationship together.
Is he gonna bump heads that bad? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, give me an example. Like, because to me, when I hear what you talking about, Abel, which is on a high, like really, really good, I love it because it kind of reminds me of me, which is so cool because like, I'm not going to take crap now with what I've been through in the past. I mean, you come out of federal prison doing 14 years, you have a chip on your shoulder, right?
Mm,
I mean,
mhm.
there's a certain chip that we all have. Then when I see people that don't have it, it's like, I cannot figure it out, but then they want to get ran over by, say, I mean, I'm not saying being an asshole, being like a real, what do you call that? Masculine way. So overbearing when I'm not vulnerable myself, because
Mhm.
that wouldn't be showing my emotional intelligence in a way because I had to grow into this space also. How does that work for you? Having an emotional intelligent man that's when it clashes with your
Mhm.
own personality.
Oh, yeah, and so I had been doing the work, and so I'm thinking, like, I'm doing great. Then you get in a relationship and you realize, "Holy shit, like, there's a lot of other stuff here. I'm doing good by myself, but now I get to include somebody else." And so then like little things, and I didn't realize how important these things were. Like
Yeah.
if I had requested that he could do something, I'm the type of person that like, I want it done right now. Like I'm going to go get it done. But it doesn't mean that he is on my timeline. It doesn't mean he's not going to do it. And so a lot of times I would just go handle it myself, or I would just like keep asking him. Hey, I would question his choices.
What do you mean question his
Um,
choices? What do you mean
like
question his choices?
if he were doing something or he were planning a trip,
Okay.
and then I would come in behind him and be like, okay, so these are all the things that we need to think about before we go on this trip, right? And it
Hmm.
really was lack of trust.
Was it?
It was lack of trust of allowing him to lead. Me question you. And I didn't realize in those conversations I was emasculating him.
Yeah, I
Like,
can
I
see
I
that.
trust you, you
You
don't.
don't
So he came to me and he's like, you have this request that you want me to handle things. And then you come in and
take
you're
over.
questioning my ability. And I want to tell you this very clearly, Carrie. This is a sneaky way of you trying to fucking control everything,
True.
all in the name of, oh, let's talk it over, right?
Yeah,
And I'm like,
true.
oh yeah, that
Yeah, true.
I'm pretty fucking clever, and I don't even realize it.
But then it was a behavior that you didn't know you was doing all this time.
Yeah,
But the cool part is that he actually sat down, explained this to you in a way that you understood. That
hmm
to me, that is powerful, and I give kudos to him because when I have to do that with Andrea, or she has to do it vice versa, it might not be the right time, or something. What timing is, a lot of things, the way my approach or my tone, or my excuse is I'm just saying, I'm just trying to manipulate the whole situation to my advantage, but because it's not on my timeline, same as you, right? It
hmm
comes from the past also. But at the same
yeah,
time, the empathy that we have to have for our partners, especially when trying to compete, you don't know that you're competing
right.
because of your past behaviors. Because I only watch behaviors. That's all I do because that's all we used to do in the yard. We just watch people. Now let me ask you. Let me ask you this. What was your reaction when he told you that?
Well, he's very good at creating the conversation. He's very aware of the surroundings, aware of energy.
Okay.
So he was good in his approach during the right time. And I knew enough to know that although I felt that charge in my body
Yeah.
of like, fuck you, I was like, don't say anything that's on your mind right now. Process. And be an appreciation that he's coming to you with it. So like when we have a conversation, it follows like what's working, what's not
Correct.
working. That's normally the format that we utilize when we're coming to one another with something. It's like, this is what's working in the relationship. This is what isn't working.
But
And what's the request?
I'm going to give you your props and your kudos just to know that you caught yourself in that emotionally charged moment. Took you how long to gain that type of clarity of yourself? And I applaud you for that because that shows how much you've grown. Ladies, viewers, men out there, if you're watching this, it takes a lot to be able to catch that self, to even reframe that. And that's what
Yeah.
me and Carrie do for other people. Because if you don't, it'll take you a lot of pain and suffering, tears, going in the corner, driving around and the stuff, and actually figuring out, talking to all your girlfriends, your dudes, whatever it is. But when you can come to either one of us and we can show you both the path that we took, because it takes a lot to actually catch yourself. The beauty of it, what did you do after?
Well, I processed that and I was just kind of like, oh man, if I'm being really honest, because that's one of my biggest
Absolutely.
values when it comes to relationship is honesty and integrity. That's exactly what the fuck I'm trying to do because I'm trying to create safety.
Absolutely.
And not that I'm doing it maliciously in any way, but the behavior that I've been practicing is now beginning, right?
Okay.
Well, I'm not gonna say it worked. It served a purpose for a period of time, although I blew up several relationships. But now I see that it's causing an issue. Is it really necessary? Can I trust this man enough to handle responsibilities without questioning him? And then I also learned as far as communication. Men are totally
Huge.
different.
Yep.
Like, we could be in the kitchen and I'm like, bang, bang, bang. Like, I'm hitting him with like 3 questions in like 30 seconds, not even allowing him the time to process the first one. And I remember my father was observing me one day and he said, "Hey, when you ask a man a question, give him 90 seconds to respond." And I'm like, who the fuck needs 90 seconds? Like, I'm like, he was like, women, y'all process so differently. And I'm like, well, yeah, then you guys need to catch the fuck up. And he was just like, no, 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 try it and tell
What?
me how it works for you.
I
Again,
think
Dad,
it's
this would have been helpful 20 years ago.
so, when, when, holy smokes, wait, that is so, I mean, that's so true though. I mean, you think about it because Biggie, even Biggie right here, he's like, what is she talking about? Even like, because you're so used to a certain way, like ping, 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 ping. And I'm gonna turn around and be like,
Yeah.
say it's Andrew's like, what just happened? Right? So it's like giving it just the same things. Like mentally, we have to kind of like, okay, let's get it. And I think 580 miles an hour too. But it's just a matter of understanding where you coming from because say we flash off. Say we say something that's we cannot take back. Or say something
Mhm.
that why are you coming sideways at me? Why are you being disrespectful? It's like, but you want what you want. So now, because of you've learned and put in the work and everything else, it happens with every relationship because every relationship is not perfect, but working together for the common good, not competing like we started out. Understanding
Mhm.
each other's like esteem, the integrity of it. Can I ask you this one? With you putting in all this work and having Abel now, how much did it build up your self-esteem?
Oh my God. It really did build up my self-esteem to know that I remember we had a conversation one day and he was like, "Carrie, you don't have to prove anything to me. I love you for you."
Except, yep.
And I'm like, and then it really dawned on me. I'm like, oh my God, the only thing I ever really want is for someone just to like love and accept me with all my flaws and all my bullshit, because we all come with it.
It's part of it.
I remember telling him that. I'm like, I just want to be loved and accepted no matter what. Like, I can't throw anything at you that you would be like, oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't phase him because you guys are to the level where it's like he's accepted you, flaws, baggage, this, turmoils, back
Mhm.
page, this, everything that came along with it. But you got to hear that he accepts you for who you are. You don't have to prove nothing. And this is why you try to help other women. Because I knew right there, I bet in right there, your self-esteem went through the roof to become the person you are today because of him. I
Oh my God,
100%, a hundred fifty
huge.
percent believe that because he brought that to get you. You was at a ceiling, maybe a glass ceiling. Once he
Yeah.
did that, maybe that's when I seen all your posts change. Everything changed because I always wanted to ask you, what happened? And that was it. And that is so powerful in itself. And that's where I tell men, it's like you gotta be confident in yourself to be able to
Mhm.
talk to, let's see, your partner, whether it's whatever it is you got going on, and to be able to accept things. If not, you also got to be able to walk away and have integrity within yourself and that boundaries.
Yeah.
Because if not, what else happens after that? The respect level you gave Abel must went through the roof. The respect level that you gave yourself, it went hand in hand, both ways, which was, I mean, that's gonna be like another topic. This is deep. This is good stuff.
Yeah, I remember him telling me that, "I love you for you," and I'm in my head, I'm
But
approving. I remember
yeah,
we got off the call and I called somebody for coaching. I called one of my coaches and I'm like, "I gotta tell you about this
what
conversation,
happened?
like, I don't know how to digest it.
You got so shocked because you're not used to
How
that.
can someone love you for you? This
And
expectation for you to perform."
from your past life, from the past Carrie, right?
Right.
Man,
Mhm.
this one was truly
100%.
genuine. And that's where the
Yes.
difference is because this one was coming from a place of real love where he can actually tell you things and be okay with it. He has his
Mhm.
mind. He's a confident man. He can tell you this because he's not trying to play the games with you. He's going in for the long term. the topic today was the competing, the ego, and the work that you've done made you break that ceiling where your stock went through the roof now. Now you are an upswing, and that's what made you so, I guess, the aura that you have, the energy, everything else with him made you complete to me. Because that is so powerful in itself.
And I think too, like as we grow together, there's like you begin to understand, like now it's not about me proving. Now it's like, how can I be in contribution?
Yeah.
Where
See,
his personality, he's an attorney. He's like a controller. That's his personality. Uh, and so, like, I know we had a conversation one day, and he said the best way you can show up for me is to be in contribution, and I have so much work that I have to do for my work that don't be another project or something I have to
yeah.
do. Like, don't give me any extra.
Yeah, I was
Essentially.
going to say,
And so that it took me a minute. Like every time we have these conversations, it takes a minute of like, okay, so what does he really mean by that? Men are really very simple and very direct. So it is easy to understand.
correct.
But I think because of the complexity of women and how we grow up and how we make everything mean, or at least me, how I make everything mean something, it's like, oh my God, well, what do you mean creating any extra work? I went into this
Yeah.
whole thing and I realized I'm like, okay, well, every day I wake up, how can I be in contribution today where I can be in support of him
I was just,
and whatever he has going on?
I'm going to give you some advice now, right? Become
Yeah,
his
go.
peace. He's an attorney. He's arguing every day. He's got dockets. He's got calendars. He's dealing with all this stuff. Become his peace so that he can become emotional with you, intimate with you, and become his saving grace. I don't want to say be a pushover because he don't want that out of you because he knows what he was getting at.
Right.
He want to be respected as a man. Give him his space because that's what I have these conversations with Andrea, right? It's all about, I don't want to be handling your crap when I'm helping other people's crap, right?
Right.
If I,
Right.
like, roles have reversed in our household now where she's the breadwinner, but I take care of the kids. And it irks me sometimes, but at the same time, I'm doing it for the greater good. And, sometimes she's mad, but become his peace, because if you can become his peace that you respect, which is ultimately he will respect you more and put you more on a pedestal because you deserve that, right? He will put you on a pedestal so far up, which you deserve. And to have your old baggage come back and haunt him, there's going to be certain points. I mean, every relationship has this thing. But if you can do that, guess what? You will have a long, everlasting, loving relationship. And that's what all I want for you two and him, because you both deserve it. Does it make sense?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. That was really good. I'm so glad that you said that because he has actually said that to me as well.
True. See, he's telling you what he wants.
And something that you just said really landed for me because I remember we were talking one day and he doesn't care for conflict.
Oh,
right.
he does. Come on.
I know. He's like, that's the part that just landed for me is like he, in his mind, we were having a conversation and he was saying, I don't think relationships should have conflict. And we had a communication coach back then. And she was like, no, like relationships will have conflict. And that's where the growth is.
That's where the growth is.
It's what you do with the conflict.
True.
But now that you just said that about his job, I'm like, no wonder he was saying that and viewing it from that perspective.
Yes.
That makes total sense to me right now because I always wondered that. I'm like, why do you think that relationships shouldn't have conflict?
That's his job. His job is to resolve conflicts and matter, but he has to do it for his client.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
then you don't want to come home and do that shit.
And that's the thing. Is like, this is where, I mean, and I had a whole law office firm that I frauded at one point. I had like 10 lawyers. I provided the office space. This is what they do every day. So this is what they do. And they have so much pressure. If I'm able, I don't want no more added extra pressure. But you mean, man, we have too much fun. This 40 minutes went flew by just like this. What's the topic going to be next week? In fact, I'll let you close out. Give me a topic.
Oh my God. I don't even know that we even really got into the competition piece of it today.
No, but we
can always revisit that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we went a lot deeper.
We'll talk about some of the other things that you want to talk about. This has been, proving yourself. How proving yourself can destroy so many different outcomes the wrong way.
Oh my God, yeah, because if I'm proving that I'm a winner, then that means there's gotta be a loser.
Correct.
Mm-mm.
All right. Let's close this out because this is so great. I love it.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I'm like loving my
Yeah,
mornings.
perfect. All right. This is Gordon Wat from Boundaries and Brotherhood on this page
Carrie Pullaro.
from Worthy as Fuck.
Worthy as
Yeah.
fuck.
If you need any type of coaching, if you're female, if you have husbands that need to come talk to me with me and Doc, hit the link, scan the code, do whatever's. Come find us, guys. All right. We'll have a good one. Aloha. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.